This is Cults Unpacked. My name is Danny Clayton, and we're about to look at the Children of God. The California cult started by Christian evangelist David Berg. This sprouted from the counterculture movement in the late 60s, as hippies and deadbeats flocked to Southern California. David grabbed them. There were claims of sexual abuse, incest, and even sex with minors. Breaking it down just a little bit more is Joe Thornley. Now, Joe, tell me about David Berg. What kind of methods did he use to pull people into the cult?
There were two main ones that really made him stand out as a cult leader. One was, instead of preaching to them in person, he would send worldwide, because he had lots and lots of different compounds around the world, newsletters, illustrated newsletters featuring him as a lion. But the bad one, and the one that Children of God is famous for, is one called FLIRTY fishing, which is basically sending female members of the cult out to discos to sleep with people while telling them about Jesus.
Dare I say, I'm sure many men would have found that really, really enjoyable to be brought into that cult. Do you think that...
Sitting in church on Sunday or being flirty fished.
Now, the FBI investigated this particular cult. What were the more serious claims?
Only a couple of individuals ever got in trouble, but because the cult had this really open attitude towards sex, that meant that there were really blurry lines with when it came to age or family members. So it makes me shudder, but there were claims of sexual abuse and child sexual abuse, and there was a bit of incest going on. It's upsetting.
Now, one of the techniques that many cults use is shutting off the cultists from the outside world. Was that happening in the Children of God? And how effective is that method at keeping people locked into the cult?
Definitely happened in Children of God. They were convinced that everything in the system, which was outside the cult, was bad and damaging, and everything inside the cult was good and safe. And so people were completely removed from their families, and that helps the leader maintain control if you're seen as the only authority figure and the only person to trust.
In the cult, there were some very famous faces from Hollywood. Who were they?
Yeah, the Phoenix family, so River and Joaquim in particular, and Rose McGowan were all, their parents were members, so they were Children of God.
Did they have any interesting stories from their time?
Happily, they do say that they managed to escape any of the child sexual assault that was going on, and they were very lucky in that case.
When did the wheels fall off the bus here? When did things start to unravel for David Berg and take away some of the power that he had over the cult?
There was a lot of interest from authorities and family members in the dodgy sex practices that were happening. So the wheels fell off basically when they took away the sexual nature of the cult. People were less interested in joining. David Berg passed away, and there was not enough to distinguish Children of God from other groups. So it's really now a whisper of its previous pervy roar.
So it's a cult that is still alive. It might not be as powerful as it once was, but what kind of power does it have these days?
Not much. It's now called the Family International, and because they were investigated so many times, the sexual element and also their communal living arrangements now are, at the very least, outwardly banned by the cult, and it seems that they no longer continue. So if you're going to pick a Christian group, maybe still steer clear.
Okay, and do you think that there are remnants of that old Children of God still in the New Age version of the cult?
I'd hope not, but they do things like preach using hugs and going into prisons and making videos for children, so it still feels icky.
Okay, so final question, when we look at the Children of God, how did it start? How did it finish? What did people expect? What were they given?
People wanted a way to be Christians but have lots of sex, and what they got was a dirty old perv.
Well, there you have it. Thank you very much, Joe Thornley. That was The Children of God Unpacked.